Ever wondered how someone goes from potato sack dresses to, well, to owning a media empire? That's the journey we're on today. Taking a deep dive into the life of Oprah Winfrey.
It really is more than just rags to riches, though, isn't it? It's about resilience. It's about connection and really using your platform to make a difference.
You, our listeners, wanted to go beyond those headlines, to really get what makes Oprah such a cultural powerhouse. So we've got a fantastic biography here ready to dig into. Should unearth some pretty fascinating details.
Yeah, and some surprising ones, too. Did you know that Oprah was actually nicknamed the Preacher as a child?
Wow. I mean, even back then, there was something about her communication style, right, that drew people in.
Absolutely. Born in rural Mississippi, she faced poverty and a lot of hardship early on, but those experiences, they really shaped her resilience.
So let's rewind a bit to those early years. We know she was born in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, but her path to, media stardom wasn't exactly a straight line.
Right, exactly. And, that's what makes it so interesting. She faces these incredible challenges, but even as a young girl, she's just drawn to the power of words. And her grandmother, Hattie Mae Lee, really instilled this love of reading in her. And there are these fascinating stories about Oprah, captivating her church congregation with her, ability to recite Bible verses.
Talk about foreshadowing. It's like from a young age, there was this sense that she was meant to use her voice to reach people.
I love that observation. There's definitely a sense of destiny there, but also about seizing opportunities, And when she moved to Nashville to live with her father, Vernon Winfrey, that was a real turning point for her.
It sounds like that stability was crucial. It allowed her to excel in school. She wins a speech contest and then ultimately earns a full scholarship to Tennessee State University.
Exactly. And that scholarship, that was it. That opens the door to her broadcasting career. So at just 17, she becomes the first Black female news anchor at WLAC TV in Nashville.
17. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. This is a young woman navigating a world very much dominated by men, breaking barriers in a profession, not exactly known for welcoming people of color.
It really speaks volumes about her determination and talent. She had this drive to succeed and to prove herself and to really use her voice in a way that was impactful.
So she's making history in Nashville. What's next? What's the next chapter in this incredible journey?
Well, she heads to Baltimore, and that's where things get really interesting. She ends up co-anchoring the evening news at WJZ-TV, but it wasn't quite the right fit.
Really? With her talent and experience, you'd think she would just, soar. What was the issue?
Talent she had, no doubt, but her style was just different. She brought this emotive, almost conversational approach to the news, and it kind of clashed with that traditional, detached format they expected back then.
It's so interesting how sometimes our greatest strengths can be, misunderstood, maybe even seen as weaknesses if you're not in the right environment.
It's a classic case of being ahead of your time. Oprah's instincts, they were spot on. It was just the venue wasn't quite right for that unique style.
So what happens next? How does she find that stage where her gifts can truly shine?
She gets a chance to host a local talk show called People Are Talking. And that was it. Everything clicked. Her warmth, her empathy, her ability to really connect with guests on a personal level.
Yeah, I can see why that shift to, talk shows in the 80s was so crucial. It was less about that stiff formality and more about personality sharing stories, that emotional connection.
Exactly. It was a perfect platform for Oprah's natural charisma and her desire to just connect authentically with people.
And that leads us to the phenomenon that becomes the Oprah Winfrey Show, right?
Yeah, you got it. But before it was the Oprah Winfrey Show, it was this little morning show in Chicago called AM Chicago.
Wow, from local Chicago to the highest rated talk show of all time. I mean, how does that even happen? What was it about Oprah's approach that made such a difference?
Well, back then, most talk shows were pretty formulaic, very surface level. But Oprah brought something different. She brought vulnerability.
Vulnerability. That's not a quality you typically associate with someone, who becomes a global icon. We kind of expect our stars to be larger than life, untouchable.
Exactly. And that's precisely why it worked. She wasn't afraid to show her own humanity. her struggles. And it made her relatable. It allowed people to see themselves in her.
And it wasn't just about sharing her own experiences, right? She created a space for her guests to do the same.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about all the people who came on the show and shared their stories and struggles, their triumphs. It became this platform for unheard voices, for stories that needed to be told.
It's like she's pioneering a new kind of talk show, one that's less about sensationalism and more about genuine human connection.
You're right on the money there. And it was that connection, that ability to create a space for vulnerability and authenticity that really fueled the success of the Oprah Winfrey Show.
And it didn't stop there, right? That connection, it went beyond the studio. There's the Oprah effect, her influence on everything, books, politics, you name it. How does one person hold so much sway over, I don't know, over what people read, what they watch, what they even think about?
That is the million-dollar question. It wasn't just about, her fame. It was about trust. She cultivated this image of trustworthiness, of genuine passion for what she promoted.
And it played out in such interesting ways. Her book club picks became instant bestsellers. Her support for Barack Obama in 2008 arguably influences the outcome of the election. It's like she had this Midas touch, turning everything into gold.
It's fascinating to watch that influence work. It was this blend of trust, authenticity, and this ability to connect with people emotionally.
It's funny because you mentioned AM Chicago earlier. That show was eventually renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show, putting her name front and center. Did that signal a shift? Was it about, becoming a brand?
That's a great question. And it's a tricky one. I mean, yes, The Oprah Winfrey Show does signal a kind of branding, recognition of her power and influence.
But it never really felt like she lost that core connection with her audience. It was always about more than just fame and fortune.
You're spot on. And that leads us to the next chapter in Oprah's journey, her entrepreneurial ventures, and really the incredible impact she makes beyond the world of television.
So from talk show host to media mogul, what's next for Oprah?
Oh, get ready. He's just getting started. Remember, this is Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. She doesn't just break barriers, she builds empires.
So we've got Oprah, this powerhouse on daytime TV,
right,
connecting with millions. But she doesn't stop there. I mean, what's driving her to venture into building her own media empire?
Well, it's 1988, and she takes this huge leap, founds Harpo Productions. This is the woman who isn't content with just being on screen,
Yeah.
She wants control, creative freedom, ownership.
And that's a pretty big deal, right? Especially back then, for a woman, a black woman at that, to own her production company.
It's a seismic shift. Think about it. She's not just starring in her show. She's calling the shots behind the scenes. This is a woman who understands the power of storytelling and wants to shape those narratives herself.
It's like she's taking everything she's learned, right, from the Oprah Winfrey Show, all those years connecting with people, and she's saying, okay, now I'm going to use this platform to create something even bigger, something that really reflects my vision.
Precisely. And it's not just about control. It's about opportunity, creating opportunities for others. Harpo Productions becomes this hub for diverse talent, both in front of and behind the camera.
So she's building an empire, but she's also using that power to uplift and empower others. That's pretty remarkable.
It is. And this drive to connect and empower, it doesn't stop with Harpo Productions. In 2000, she launches the Oprah magazine. And you might think, another celebrity magazine, but this one was different.
What made it stand out? I mean, there were so many magazines back then, all vying for attention. How does O break through?
It's a reflection of Oprah, her wide-ranging interests, her curiosity. It's about books, but it's also about wellness, spirituality, personal growth, all these topics that were really starting to gain traction.
It's like she's curating a lifestyle, a way of being in the world, and inviting her readers to come along on that journey.
Exactly. And it worked.
Yeah.
O becomes this cultural touchstone, a place particularly for women to find inspiration, advice, a sense of community.
Okay, so we've got Harpo Productions, we've got O Magazine. Anything else she takes on in her quest to build this media empire?
Oh, there's more. In 2011, she launches the Oprah Winfrey Network, OAN. This is huge. a whole television network dedicated to her vision, this idea of inspiring and uplifting programming.
That's a bold move.
Yeah.
Starting a network from scratch is no easy feat. Were there any challenges she faced along the way?
Absolutely. Bowman had a bit of a rocky start. Finding his footing took time. There were some missteps. But Oprah, being Oprah, she didn't give up.
She's got that resilience we talked about. So how does ODUN evolve? What becomes its defining focus?
It becomes this platform for showcasing, stories of personal growth, resilience, spirituality. Shows like Super Soul Sunday, they really capture that essence.
It's like she's taking that intimate conversational style from the Oprah Winfrey Show and just expanding it, creating a whole network dedicated to exploring those themes on a much deeper level.
That's a great way to put it. OWN becomes this destination for people seeking inspiration, guidance, connection. And it proved, once again, that Oprah, she has this knack for tapping into what people are searching for, what they need, even if they don't realize it themselves.
With all these successful ventures, it would be easy for someone to just, I don't know, sit back and just enjoy the fruits of their labor. But Oprah's not like that. She's got this incredible drive to give back, to really make a difference in the world.
That's so true. Her philanthropic work is just as impressive as her media empire.
Let's talk about that. Where does she focus her philanthropic efforts? What are some of the causes closest to her heart?
Education is a huge priority for Oprah, and it's personal. Remember those early years in Mississippi? The challenge is she knows firsthand the power of education.
Yeah.
How transformative it can be.
So how does she channel that passion into action? What are some of the specific initiatives she takes on?
Well, one of the most impactful is the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. This isn't just a school. It's a haven for young women who might not otherwise have access to quality education.
It's about breaking down those barriers, right? Creating opportunities for girls who might otherwise be left behind, empowering them to become leaders.
Exactly. And it's not just about the academy. She's also donated millions to support HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, recognizing, the vital role they play in educating and uplifting Black communities.
It's like she's investing in the future, creating this ripple effect.
And her generosity goes beyond education. She's a staunch supporter of disaster relief efforts, stepping up to help communities rebuild after hurricanes, earthquakes, tragedies.
It's that sense of compassion, right? That willingness to use her platform to mobilize resources and support those in need.
You're right. And it's not just about writing a check. She gets personally involved, visits those communities, uses her voice to raise awareness, inspire others to action.
It's that combination of action and empathy that makes her philanthropy so impactful. She's not just donating money, she's investing her heart and soul.
And that's what sets her apart. It's that genuine desire to use her success, her platform, her influence to really create a better world.
Okay, so we've covered Oprah, the media mogul, Oprah, the philanthropist. But what about Oprah, the person? What about her personal life, her relationships, the things that shape her behind the scenes?
Well, that's where we get a glimpse into the woman behind the icon. And it's fascinating because she challenges conventional norms, redefines what success and happiness look like.
So let's dive into that. What are some of the key aspects of her personal life that stand out? What are things that make Oprah, Oprah?
Her relationship with Stedman Graham is a great place to start. They've been together for decades, but they've consciously chosen not to marry.
That's interesting, especially in a society that often puts so much emphasis on traditional relationship structures. What do you think that decision says about Oprah's approach to life?
It speaks to her independence, her willingness to kind of defy societal expectations, and to create a relationship that works for them on their own terms. They've built this partnership based on mutual respect and love and support, but they haven't felt the need to conform.
And it's not just about romantic relationships. Her close bond with Gayle King, her sister and confidant, that's a key part of her story too.
Absolutely. Their friendship is legendary. It's a testament to the power of female friendships, the importance of having those deep, supportive connections, to sustain you through life's ups and downs.
It's like she's creating her own chosen family. Surrounding herself with people who love and support her unconditionally.
You got it. And that sense of community, of chosen family, it extends beyond her personal life too. Think about the community she built through the Oprah Winfrey Show, her magazine, her book club. It's all about fostering connection, creating that sense of belonging.
we've talked a lot about Oprah's impact on the world, but I'm curious about her impact on you. What's one thing you've learned from her, either personally or professionally, that's really stuck with you?
Wow, that's a tough one. There are so many lessons to glean from Oprah's journey, but if I had to pick one, I'd say it's the power of authenticity.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What do you mean by the power of authenticity?
Oprah's never been afraid to be herself.
Yeah.
To show her vulnerabilities, to share her struggles. And in doing so, she's given others permission to do the same. She's taught me that it's okay to not have all the answers, to embrace the messiness of life, to connect with others on a human level.
I love that. It's such a powerful message, especially in a world that often pressures us to present this perfect, polished version of ourselves.
Right. Oprah reminds us that it's our imperfections, our vulnerabilities that make us relatable, that allow us to connect with others on a deeper level.
And that connection, that sense of shared humanity, that's ultimately what makes her work so impactful.
It is. And it's something we can all strive for, in our own lives, whether it's in our relationships, our work, our efforts to make a difference in the world.
So we've explored this incredible journey from those early days in Mississippi to becoming this global force for good. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to explore.
What's that?
Oprah's creative spirit, her acting, her producing, her commitment to storytelling. In all its forms. It's almost like she's a modern-day Renaissance woman, constantly exploring new avenues of expression.
You're absolutely right. It's like she's got this insatiable curiosity, this need to create and connect through art and storytelling. And that leads us to some of her most recent work, her collaborations with Apple TV, plus her continued exploration of the human spirit through documentaries, interviews.
And it all circles back to that core theme of connection.
Right.
Whether she's acting, producing, interviewing, it's always about creating a shared experience, a space where people can connect with each other and with themselves.
You nailed it. And that's what makes her work so enduring, so relevant, so impactful. She's not just entertaining us. She's challenging us, inspiring us, reminding us of what truly matters.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about, how she's evolved as a storyteller. I mean, she goes from this powerful presence on daytime TV to these really nuanced roles in films like The Color Purple.
It is such a powerful performance, and it earned her an Oscar nomination. And you see that same intensity, that ability to convey, deep emotion in her work as a producer too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about documentaries like The Me You Can't See, which she co-created with Prince Harry, tackling mental health in such an honest, such a raw way. That's Oprah, using her platform to amplify voices on these issues that really matter.
It's like she's saying, we're not going to shy away from the difficult conversations. We're going to lean into them, create a space where people feel safe sharing their stories.
Exactly. And that willingness to engage with those challenging topics, to push boundaries, it continues in her work with Apple TV Plus too. She's bringing her book club to this global audience, sparking conversations about race, identity, social justice.
It's interesting how she's adapted to this changing media landscape. You know what I mean? She could have easily just stayed in her lane, but she embraces these new platforms, finds new ways to connect with people and amplify those important voices. I think that adaptability is really a key part of her success. She's always learning, always evolving, always looking for new ways to make a difference.
As we wrap up this deep dive, it's striking how much Oprah has accomplished, but it's not just about the awards or the accolades. It's about the impact she's had on people's lives.
I completely agree. Think about the countless individuals who found inspiration in her story, in her words, her actions. She's shown us that it's possible to overcome adversity, to achieve your dreams, and to use your platform for good.
And she's done it all while staying true to herself. To her values, to her belief in the power of human connection.
That's such a powerful legacy. It makes you wonder, what is it about Oprah that resonates so deeply with people? Why does she have this incredible ability to inspire and empower?
I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier, that authenticity, that vulnerability, that willingness to be her true self, even in moments of difficulty. It makes her relatable, even though she's achieved this level of success that most of us can only dream of.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's not just about showing her vulnerabilities. It's about celebrating them, owning them, using them to connect with others on a human level.
It's like she's saying, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm still here. I'm still striving. I'm still learning. And you can too.
That's such a powerful message, especially in a world that often tells us we need to be perfect. Hide our flaws, strive for some unattainable ideal.
Oprah reminds us that it's okay to be messy. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be a work in progress.
And it's in those imperfections, those moments of vulnerability that we find our truest connections, our deepest sense of belonging.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the extraordinary life of Oprah Winfrey, what's the one takeaway you hope our listener will hold on to?
I hope they'll remember that even without, a global platform, each of us has the power to make a difference. We can connect with those around us, offer support, advocate for what we believe in. Oprah's journey is a testament to that.
It's about recognizing that we all have a story to tell, a voice to share, a contribution to make. And sometimes it's those imperfections, those moments of vulnerability that make our stories the most powerful, the most impactful.
Beautifully said. And it's a reminder that the journey of learning and growth, it never really ends. There's always more to discover, more to explore, and more ways to connect with the world around us.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the life and legacy of Oprah Winfrey. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit challenging.
And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep using your voice to make the world a little bit brighter.
Welcome back, deep divers. You ready for today's deep dive?
Absolutely. Always up for a deep dive.
All right, so today we're going on a journey.
Ooh, I like journeys. Where are we headed?
We're going to explore the Amazon.
The rainforest.
Well, not exactly the rainforest, more like the empire. Think Jeff Bezos.
Ah, got it. From a tiny online bookstore to a global giant.
Exactly. We've got a great biography we're going to be using to dig into his story.
About 20 minutes long.
Yeah, should be a good overview.
Cool.
So by the end of this deep dive, we'll understand not just what he accomplished, the milestones, but also the how.
The how.
Yeah, the strategies, the decisions, the mindset that took him to the top.
Basically how to Bezos, right?
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll even find some inspiration for our own ventures along the way.
Okay, I'm ready.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Childhood.
Yeah. Little Jeff Bezos. We're talking garage days.
Garage days.
He wasn't just playing in there. He was like taking apart electronics, figuring out how things work.
Really? Like a little inventor.
Totally. Always curious, always tinkering.
I mean, that makes sense.
Kind of sets the stage, right?
Definitely. Building things, taking them apart. Got to start somewhere. But what I find really fascinating is that even in high school,
What?
he was already talking about space colonization.
Seriously?
Yeah.
In high school?
Apparently. Like, imagine being his classmate and hearing this kid in his valedictorian speech talking about colonizing space.
That's wild. I mean, talk about foreshadowing Blue Origin, right?
Totally. It's like that ambition, that drive was always there.
It wasn't just dreaming.
No, definitely not.
This guy went to Princeton.
Oh, of course. Had to be a smart cookie.
And he didn't just study like one thing.
Yeah.
He got 2 degrees, electrical engineering and computer science.
Double major. Wow.
And not just that.
What else?
Phi Beta Kappa.
Phi Beta Kappa.
It's like the super elite honor society. Only the very top students get in.
Okay. So yeah, brains weren't the issue. But okay, so he's super smart, got the degrees. But here's the thing. He didn't just jump into startups,
Right. He went to Wall Street first.
That's right. Wall Street.
Worked at Fattel, Bankers Trust, became a vice president.
Vice president.
Yeah, like super fast.
Climb the ladder quickly.
Then D.E. Shaw.
D.E. Shaw, huh?
This is where things get interesting.
Why? What was it?
A quantitative hedge fund.
A quantitative what now?
So they were basically using data and algorithms to make investment decisions.
Kind of like way ahead of their time.
Right. This was like the early days of using data to drive decisions. Kind of foreshadows Amazon's whole approach,
Data-driven everything. Makes sense.
Oh, and guess what?
What?
This is where he met Mackenzie.
His future wife.
Yep, who played a key role in the early days of Amazon.
So it's like all the pieces are starting to come together.
Totally. Okay, so it's 1994. Picture this. Bezos. Successful, Wall Street, making good money.
Living the dream.
Then, boom, he decides to quit.
Quit.
Yeah.
Walk away from all that.
Yeah. To start an online bookstore.
An online what?
Bookstore.
In 1994. That's bold.
Right. Like, most people hadn't even heard of the internet back then.
I mean, dial-up was still a thing.
Exactly. So why do you think he took that leap?
I mean, he must have seen something that others didn't.
He saw the future, right? The potential of this whole new world.
He had that ambition, that vision. Remember the high school speech?
It's all connected.
Yeah.
So he quits his job, packs up, moves to Seattle.
Whoa.
Yeah, and starts Amazon
In Seattle.
out of his garage.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like the classic startup story.
Classic. Him and Mackenzie packing books.
Packing books in a garage. Wow.
Humble beginnings. And they almost called it Cadabra.
Cadabra. Like abracadabra.
Yeah, but they changed it to Amazon.
Amazon. I mean, that's a way better name.
It's like vast, powerful.
Yeah.
Bezos wanted a name that reflected his vision.
And it worked.
Oh, yeah. They were making $20,000 a week in sales within a few months.
No way.
Yeah. But here's the key. Instead of pocketing the profits, Bezos kept reinvesting, expanding.
Growth over everything.
Exactly. Always looking ahead, always thinking bigger.
Smart. So he's got the online bookstore going. It's booming.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, he's thinking about how to really change the game, how to make the online shopping experience even better.
Aiden.
And he comes up with Amazon Prime,
Prime. Like,
2005. Think about it. Back then, fast shipping wasn't really a thing.
oh yeah, everything took forever.
And Bezos makes it like the core of Prime, fast, free shipping.
So he's like setting a new standard.
Totally. And customers loved it.
It's genius.
But you know what else is genius?
What?
AWS.
AWS. Amazon Web Services.
You know what that is?
Honestly, not really.
So basically, it's like renting out computing power and storage to businesses.
Like the cloud.
Yeah, cloud computing. It wasn't their main focus at first, but Bezos saw the potential.
Yeah.
It exploded. AWS became this massive thing.
So he's got e-commerce, cloud computing. Is there anything this guy doesn't do?
Well, there's one more thing. Space. Space.
Remember that high school speech?
That wasn't just a dream. In the middle of the dot-com bubble bursting, Bezos starts Blue Origin.
2000.
Yep. He's still got his sights set on the stars.
Incredible. Okay, we've got to unpack all that next time.
Yeah, we've only scratched the surface. Join us next time as we go even deeper into the world of Jeff Bezos.
It's wild, right? Like he was building this massive internet infrastructure while everyone else was still figuring out how to use email.
Right. I mean, talk about vision.
Total visionary. So we've got Amazon booming, AWS quietly taking over the internet, but there's that other thing,
The space thing.
the space thing. Blue Origin, remember that high school speech?
Yeah, the colonizing space thing.
That was not just a kid with a wild idea. He actually went for it.
So Blue Origin, what's the deal there?
Okay, so picture this. It's 2000, .com bubbles bursting. Everyone's freaking out.
Yeah, chaos.
And Bezos just casually starts a space company.
Seriously, in the middle of all that. Like it's no big deal. That's Blue Origin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's their whole, like, mission? What are they trying to do?
It's not just about launching rockets. It's bigger than that.
Bigger. How?
Bezos wants to make space accessible, not just for astronauts, for everyone.
For everyone. Like space tourism.
Yeah, and more. Think like living and working in space.
Whoa. Okay, that's ambitious.
That's Bezos. Ambitious doesn't even cover it. So they've got this rocket, New Shepard.
Goose Shepherd.
It's designed for space tourism, and get this, it's reusable.
Reusable. Like you can fly it multiple times.
Yep. Huge deal for lowering the cost of space travel.
Makes sense. But has it actually flown?
Oh, yeah? First successful test flight was back in 2015.
Okay, so it works.
It works. And then in 2021, guess what?
Bezos went to space.
He went to space on New Shepard.
Wow, so he's not just talking the talk.
He put his money where his mouth is. And he didn't go alone. Took his brother, Mark.
That's pretty cool, taking your brother to space.
So Blue Origin, they're building rockets, taking people to space, but their ultimate goal, it's huge.
Billions living and working in space, right?
That's the dream. It's bold, it's crazy, but Bezos seems to think it's possible.
Well, he's made a few impossible things happen already.
That's true. But, okay, let's be real for a second.
What do you mean?
All this success, all this innovation, it doesn't come without its critics.
Oh, yeah. There's always another side to the story.
Exactly. So when we talk about Bezos, we got to talk about the criticisms too.
Right. The whole picture.
So one of the big ones is Amazon's treatment of workers.
Treatment of workers. What do you mean?
There have been concerns about working conditions, pay, pressure to meet targets.
Like in the warehouses?
Yeah, the fulfillment centers. There have been reports of injuries, people feeling overworked, especially during the pandemic.
Right. With everyone ordering online.
Exactly. So some people argue that Amazon isn't doing enough to protect its workers.
What does Amazon say about that?
They've said they're investing in safety, improving pay and benefits.
So they're trying to address it.
Yeah, but some people say it's not enough. They want stronger unions, better conditions, more focus on worker well-being.
So it's a complex issue.
It is. It's about finding that balance between efficiency, growth, and taking care of the people who make it all happen.
And then there's the taxes thing.
Right. Amazon has been criticized for not paying enough taxes.
Even though they make a ton of money.
Yeah. They've used legal strategies to minimize their tax burden.
So they're not breaking any laws.
Not necessarily. But some people say it's morally questionable.
Why?
Because they're making huge profits, but not contributing as much as they could to public services, things like education, healthcare.
So it's about fairness.
Yeah, about whether these giant corporations are paying their fair share.
And what does Amazon say about that?
They say they follow the tax laws, that they invest in jobs, infrastructure.
So they're arguing that they're contributing in other ways.
Right. It's a debate about the role of corporations in society, about how much they should be contributing to the common good.
Definitely a tricky one.
And then, of course, there's the environmental impact.
Oh, yeah, with all the shipping, the packaging.
It's a lot. And then there's Blue Origin. Rocket launches have a big environmental footprint.
So it's kind of a paradox, right? Wanting to save the planet, but also launching rockets into space.
Yeah, some people criticize Bezos for that. They say he's not doing enough to address climate change.
What does Amazon say about that?
They've pledged to be carbon neutral, to invest in renewable energy, electric vehicles.
So they're making efforts.
They are, but some people say it's not enough, that they need to do more, faster.
And Blue Origin.
They emphasize their reusable rockets, which reduces the impact compared to traditional rockets.
That makes sense.
But even with reusable rockets, space travel still has an impact.
Right. It's a tough one. How do you balance the excitement of space exploration with the need to protect our planet?
Yeah, it's a question we're going to have to grapple with as we move towards the spacefaring future.
So we've got these amazing achievements, these revolutionary ideas, but also these big questions about the impact, the downsides.
It's like a microcosm of our times, right? This tension between progress and responsibility.
Bezos embodies that in a way. This incredible ambition, drive to innovate, but also the consequences that come with it.
It's a reminder that we can't just blindly celebrate success. We have to be critical, to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, to hold these powerful people and companies accountable.
It's not about demonizing success, but about making sure it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
It's about creating a future that's sustainable, equitable, and just.
And that's something we all have a role to play in. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
From garage to galaxies,
Yep,
right?
it's been a wild ride through the world of Jeff Bezos.
A lot to unpack.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's time to talk about legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah. What's the lasting impact of this guy who took us from buying books online to, like, the possibility of living in space?
It's a big question.
I mean, where do you even begin?
So many different areas he's touched.
Well, let's start with the obvious. E-commerce. Amazon.
Changed the way we shop, that's for sure.
Forever. It's like woven into our lives now. One-click ordering, next day delivery.
He didn't just adapt to the internet, he created the rules.
The Amazon model, it became the standard for everyone else.
And it's not just about convenience.
That's about access.
Yeah.
Amazon made it possible to buy pretty much anything, anywhere.
Products from all over the world delivered to your doorstep.
And then there's AWS.
Ah, yeah, the cloud.
It's kind of easy to forget about it because it's not as flashy as rockets or drones.
But it's huge.
It's the backbone of the internet. So many websites, apps, services, they all run on AWS.
It's like the foundation of the digital world.
And it all started with Bezos seeing the potential of this side project.
It's mind-blowing.
And then, of course, there's Blue Origin.
His passion project.
The space dream.
It shows his commitment to this long-term vision, right?
That humanity's future is out there, beyond Earth.
He's not just a billionaire playing astronaut.
He's investing in making space travel more affordable, more accessible.
So that one day, maybe, millions of people can live and work in space.
It's a wild idea.
It is. But it's also inspiring. It rekindles that sense of wonder about the universe.
And even if they don't achieve all their goals, they're pushing boundaries.
Inspiring a new generation of, space entrepreneurs, engineers, dreamers.
So yeah, Bezos' legacy, it's pretty complex.
It is. E-commerce, cloud computing, space exploration.
But we also have to remember the other side of things.
The criticisms, the controversies.
The worker treatment, the environmental impact, the questions about corporate power.
It's a reminder that even the most brilliant minds, the most innovative ideas, can have unintended consequences.
And as we move forward, we have to be mindful of that.
We have to have these conversations, these debates,
About how to make progress that benefits everyone, not just a few.
about holding those in power accountable.
Ultimately, Bezos' story is a reflection of our own choices.
Our values, our priorities.
What kind of future do we want to build?
That's the question we should all be asking ourselves.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Wow. Time flies when you're exploring the Amazon, even metaphorically.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been fascinating.
We hope you learned something new, maybe even challenge some of your assumptions.
And who knows, maybe you're feeling a little inspired to go out and build your own empire.
Or maybe just order something from Amazon.
Maybe both.
Thanks for listening, deep divers. Until next time.
Welcome in, everybody, to our deep dive today. And we're going to be talking about Amitabh Bachchan.
Oh, wow.
I think he's pretty synonymous with Indian cinema at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of people know his iconic roles, but we're really going to go beyond just the surface level today.
Yeah.
We've got a comprehensive biography we're going to be looking at. And we're going to be uncovering some really interesting layers of his life.
Absolutely. I mean, his story is so much more than just the films. It's a reflection, I think, of India's social and cultural evolution over, the past
Decades.
decades.
For example, did you know that his given name was Inquilab Srivastava?
Yeah. Inspired by the revolutionary slogan, Inquilab Zindabad, which is long live the revolution.
Long live the revolution.
They're pretty powerful.
It's a really powerful name to carry.
It is.
Especially thinking about the time that he was born into.
Yeah.
Right. So this is October 11th, 1942 in Allahabad.
Yeah.
And, this is the height of India's struggle for independence.
Right.
And on top of that, his family legacy is incredible.
Yeah.
So his father, Harivansh Rai Bachchan, he wasn't just a poet. He was
He was a literary giant, right?
Yeah, he was huge in the world of Hindi literature.
Absolutely.
And then you have his mother,
Teji Bachchan,
who had a deep love for theater.
Yes.
Talk about artistic expression being ingrained in him from the start.
Absolutely, right? That's the foundation right there.
Absolutely. And that name, Inquilab, it means the light that will never die.
Yeah. Wow.
And it kind of foreshadows his enduring presence in Indian cinema, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah.
And, of course, he adopted the screen name Amitabh. But
right.
even that change carries with it a sense of destiny, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. It's interesting how those names, reflect often a person's journey.
Yeah.
And his journey began, I think, with a pretty solid academic background, actually.
Yeah.
He was a bright student attending, really great institutions like Sherwood College and then Kirori Mal College in Delhi.
And you might not think this, but he actually pursued a science degree.
Oh, wow. Yeah, initially, yeah.
Yeah, initially.
Yeah.
And, but the pull of the arts, was strong. So even during his college years, he was participating in theater groups and stuff.
Yeah, so that early passion kind of leads him, after graduation to Calcutta, right?
Yeah.
And he took a corporate job, I think, but...
Corporate job.
Yeah. But, he couldn't stay away from that silver screen. It was too strong.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the late 1960s in Bollywood was a very different landscape than what we're used to.
Yeah, there was.
First of all, he was very tall.
Yeah.
And he tired over a lot of the actors that were, popular at the time.
Right, unconventional.
And then there's that voice.
In that voice.
Oh, yeah.
That deep baritone voice.
Which, can you believe?
It's funny because,
people saw that initially as a disadvantage. Which, can you even imagine that now?
No, not at all.
Right. His voice is...
That's like one of the most iconic things about him.
It's iconic, yeah, absolutely.
So it's hard to even picture Bollywood without it.
Yeah.
But it does show how, what a star is, right?
Right.
It's all about perception.
Yeah.
And that's evolved over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was determined. He faced a lot of rejection.
Oh, yeah.
But he made his debut in 1969 with Sat Hindustani.
Sat Hindustani.
Wasn't a huge blockbuster hit, but
it did get him a National Film Award for Best Newcomer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on. The National Film Award, that's a big deal.
That's huge.
That's presented by the government.
Government of India, yeah.
Yeah, one of the most prestigious honors
Yeah.
in Indian cinema.
So that's really about artistic excellence, not just commercial success.
Exactly.
And it really showed that he was,
A force to be reckoned with. Yeah. And then in 1971, he starred in Anand.
Anand, yep.
And he played a doctor alongside Rajesh Khanna.
Yeah.
And he won the Filmfare Award for Best Supporting Actor.
He did, yeah.
Which proves, he could hold his own against, the biggest names in the industry.
Yeah, Anand was a critical and commercial success.
Yeah.
And really, it just solidified his position in Bollywood. And it showed his versatility, too, because, it's a lighter role, right?
Yeah.
So he could kind of move between, lighter and more dramatic with ease.
But 1973, this is where it all changes.
Yeah.
This is Zanjeer. This is huge.
This is huge, Zanjeer, yeah.
It wasn't just a film. It was a cultural phenomenon.
Right. This is where, we have that birth of the angry young man.
Angry young man.
He played, Inspector Vijay Khanna.
Yeah.
His kind of brooding, disillusioned cop fighting, against a corrupt system.
Oh, yeah.
And, that resonated with audiences.
Huge. Yeah. And it's because India in the 1970s was grappling with a lot of economic and social anxiety.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
People were disillusioned with the establishment and this character.
Yeah.
He had the raw anger and the determination.
He did.
That really channeled all of that frustration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this was a big departure. Because before this, it was a lot of romantic musicals.
Yeah. And this was really gritty. It marked a shift towards something much more realistic. Realistic, yeah.
Yeah, and he really became the face of this new wave.
Yeah, he did.
From that point on, he had so many hits. Diwar, Chalet, Dawn.
Yeah.
And these all explored similar themes, about societal injustice and the struggles of the individual and
moral ambiguity
right.
through this angry young man lens.
Through this lens, yeah. And
his intensity, his dialogue delivery, his screen presence, it just captivated everybody.
And he wasn't just acting, he was embodying a generation.
Yeah, he was.
And their hopes and their frustrations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that persona, that angry young man persona,
it
was so rooted in the socio-political context of the time, but it still resonates today.
Absolutely, it does.
That just speaks to
the power of those performances that they transcend, time and cultural barriers. Yeah.
Absolutely. But he's got a personal life.
Right. Alongside this meteoric career, one that includes love, family, and even politics.
Politics. We're going to get into that in part 2.
Oh, right.
All right. So we just saw how Amitabh Bachchan, he completely transformed Bollywood cinema with this angry young man persona.
Yeah.
But, there's another side to this story, right?
Right.
One that I think shows us, how deep his character is.
Absolutely.
And, his personal life is pretty fascinating. It's got love. It's got family.
It's got it all.
And it even has politics. A little bit of a foray into politics. Right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting how his personal journey sort of intertwines with his professional life.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that often kind of mirrors, complexities and the contradictions of Indian society at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with his marriage.
Okay.
So in 1973, he married the actress Jaya Baduri.
Yeah.
Now, he met her on the sets of Goody.
Yeah.
And their love story, it was public, right?
Oh, yeah. Everybody was fascinated, right?
And they remain one of the most, enduring couples.
Absolutely.
In Indian film.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's pretty incredible how they managed to deal with all of that fame and the public scrutiny and everything.
Yeah.
And still build this,
strong family unit.
Strong family unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got 2 kids.
2 children, yeah.
Shweta Bachchananda.
Yeah.
And Abhishek Bachchan.
Yeah, who followed in his parents' footsteps.
Followed in the footsteps, right into acting.
Yeah.
So
there's this kind of, lineage there, right?
Yeah. And then on top of all of this,
in
1984, he decides to get into politics.
He does.
And he supports his friend
Rajiv Gandhi. He
wins the Allahabad parliamentary seat.
Yeah, landslide victory.
Yeah. And he enters, the world of politics, right?
Yeah, it was seen as a natural extension, right?
Yeah.
Of that angry young man persona, right?
Yeah.
Now taking on real world injustices, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It generated a lot of excitement.
Oh, yeah.
Did he actually, run on angry young man.
Well, no, not literally, right?
But that was the feeling.
Yeah,
That was the vibe, yeah.
Yeah, the vibe, yeah.
So his political stint was actually pretty short-lived.
It was short-lived, yeah. I mean, he resigned after 3 years. Yeah, he was kind of disillusioned, I think, by the complexities and compromises
Politics.
of politics. Yeah, it's a messy business.
A whole different world.
It is, yeah.
And, his departure was as sudden as his arrival.
It was, yeah. I mean, a lot of people were like, whoa, what just happened?
What's going on? Yeah.
And,
Right.
I think it speaks to his idealistic nature.
Yeah.
I mean, he entered it, I think, with this pure desire to change things,
Help people, yeah.
help people. But the reality is, it's not like the movies.
Right. And it's a reminder that even icons, right?
Right.
With this massive influence.
Yeah,
Sometimes they butt heads with reality.
they do. Yeah.
And, I think it says a lot about his integrity that he just walked away.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't going to compromise his values.
So then he goes back to cinema.
He does, yeah.
And, this starts this whole new chapter in his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 1982, he's filming Cooley.
Cooley, yeah.
And, he has this near-fatal injury on set.
On set, yeah. And, I mean, it wasn't just a setback, right? This was like a national crisis.
The whole country was holding its breath.
Yeah, everybody was glued to the news, right?
Yeah, and it was people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
They were just coming together, praying.
Yeah, it really showed, I think, the depth of his connection
Yeah.
with the audience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a profound impact.
On everyone.
Yeah, for him, I mean, professionally, personally, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of confronting his own mortality
Mortality, yeah.
and reassessing everything.
Yeah.
So Cooley finally gets released
In 83.
in 83. And it's massive, right? I mean, huge box office success.
And they actually changed the narrative
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
to include his real-life injury.
To incorporate that, yeah.
So it was really blurring those lines.
Blurring the lines between, fiction and reality, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it was almost like the audience's collective will, propelled it to success.
Totally.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they were so invested in his well-being
Yeah.
that they just had to see the film.
And it was seen as this, victory over fate,
Absolutely.
hope and resilience.
Yeah.
So then he has this amazing comeback.
Yeah.
And then in the late 90s,
Mid-90s, yeah.
he hits another hurdle,
Right, yeah, ABCL.
ABCL.
Which stands for, Amitabh Bachchan Corporation Limited. I mean,
Yeah.
ambitious.
It was this whole venture into film production, event management.
Yeah, diversification, right?
Yeah.
New platform for talent.
Yeah.
But things didn't go well.
No, I mean, a lot of unsuccessful projects,
Yeah,
and the economy wasn't great.
right.
So he ended up having a lot of financial losses,
Yeah. Huge financial burden.
and it put a big strain on him personally.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of speculation.
And this is a far cry from
Yeah, from this sort of invincible image.
an
Right?
invincible image. Yeah, and it made him vulnerable.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and it showed that even icons can
Yeah.
face,
Real life struggles.
real life struggles.
So in classic Amitabh Bachchan fashion,
Yeah.
he faces it head on,
Yeah, he does.
takes responsibility.
Works tirelessly to kind of rebuild, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was a humbling experience for sure.
Yeah.
But it really showed his determination.
Determination, resilience, yeah.
So he goes back to acting
Back to acting.
with this renewed vigor. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
he was taking on these diverse roles
He was.
that really showed his range,
Yeah.
his versatility,
Experimenting, right?
experimenting.
Character roles, even comedic parts.
Yeah.
Breaking away from that angry young man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then 2000 rolls around,
2000 rolls around.
and we've got Khan Banega Kurapati.
Khan Banega Kortapati, or as we know it, KBC.
KBC, yeah.
Right, the Indian adaptation of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
And this was a masterstroke.
It was.
I mean, hosting this game show.
Right, because now he's connected
Yeah, I mean,
to a wider audience than ever before.
this wasn't just a game show. This
It was
was,
a cultural phenomenon.
it was cultural. It brought families together.
Yeah.
It was aspirational India,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And his demeanor, his calm demeanor.
yeah, his wit,
His wit, yeah.
his ability to connect
Yeah.
with these contestants from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
It just resonated.
It did. It really did, yeah.
So KBC, it revitalized his career,
Yeah.
and it helped him with his financing.
Big time, right.
Financially.
Yeah, I mean, it solidified him as a national icon.
It did, yeah. I mean, somebody who transcended generations,
Yeah, social strata.
social strata, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his journey really is a testament to his,
Of adaptability. right?
adaptability, yeah.
His willingness to evolve, reinvent himself.
Yeah. And it's about the love and support
Absolutely. Of his family.
of his family and his resilience.
Right.
And that connection with his audience.
Right. And it's still unfolding, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every chapter adds new layers.
Absolutely.
And his impact goes way beyond, just cinema, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, influencing social trends, cultural conversations,
Yeah.
inspiring millions
Yeah.
along the way.
I mean, it's amazing how he's managed to stay relevant
Yeah, it really is.
for decades.
Across decades, yeah, adapting to the changing landscape of the entertainment industry and the world, right?
Yeah. And I think there's a lesson in there
Oh, yeah, I think there is.
for all of us, right?
Yeah, I mean, to embrace change, to learn from setbacks,
Yeah.
never stop evolving. I think that's important
Yeah.
for navigating the complexities of life,
No matter who you are. Yeah.
no matter who you are. Yeah.
So, his story shows us that even amidst all that glitz and glamour,
Right.
there are real life
Right.
challenges,
Yeah.
vulnerabilities.
Vulnerabilities. Yeah. And it's through those experiences, I think,
Yeah.
that we see true character.
So as we move to the final part,
Okay.
we're going to see how he uses his platform
Yeah.
for social causes.
Yeah. Becoming a voice for change.
A voice for change, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we've really, journeyed through his whole career.
Yeah, we have.
We've seen this angry young man transform into this,
Multifaceted art.
this cultural icon.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think really sets him apart is his commitment to, using his platform
For good. Yeah.
for good.
He really is dedicated to
Oh, yeah.
making a difference. Yeah.
He's an advocate
Absolutely.
of social change.
I mean, it's inspiring to see someone, with that level of fame really, wanting to make a change and using that influence. Yeah.
I mean, he's lent his voice, his resources to so many causes: education, healthcare,
Yeah. Poverty, the environment.
the environment.
It's a wide range. Yeah.
So one of the most notable things, I think, is his relationship with UNICEF.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been a goodwill ambassador for decades.
Yeah, he has.
And, he's used his recognition
Right. Globally.
to raise awareness about these issues that affect kids all over the world.
Yeah. I mean, and it's taken him to some really, tough places to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen firsthand these challenges.
Absolutely.
Poverty, conflict zones,
Yeah, natural disasters.
natural disasters. And, he's not afraid to talk about the tough stuff.
No, he's not. I mean,
Polio, HIV, AIDS, gender inequality, child malnutrition.
he's spoken out against it all.
And it's not just talking.
Right.
He's really engaged.
Yeah, he engages, he listens to the communities, right? He wants to amplify their voices
Absolutely.
on this, on a global stage.
He's also been a supporter of education, especially for girls.
Right.
He really believes that that's the key
Absolutely.
to empower individuals.
Would change things,
Yeah.
to transform societies. Yeah.
Transform societies.
Yeah.
And he's even, created these educational trusts, scholarship programs,
Programs, yeah.
trying to provide underprivileged kids
Yeah. Give them a chance.
a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we can't forget about the environment either.
No, his commitment to conservation,
Yeah.
I mean, he's talked about sustainable living.
Sustainable living.
Yeah, being, responsible stewards of the planet.
Yeah. And it's not just speeches.
No, I mean, he walks the walk too.
He does.
Solar energy, reducing his own carbon footprint,
Yeah. Leading by example.
leading by example. And it's that consistency. I mean, he's not just, following a trend. He's been doing this for his whole career. His whole career. It really shows, I think. Yeah, I mean, his commitment.
It shows his character, right?
It's his character.
Yeah. And the responsibility
Yeah.
that he feels comes with that fame, right?
With that fame.
And influence.
So we've reached the end
We have.
of our deep dive into Amitabh Bachchan.
I mean, it's clear.
It's really clear
And it's clear
that he is so much more than,
just an entertainer.
yeah, absolutely.
He's an artist.
An artist,
He's a cultural icon,
a family man,
a family man,
right?
an advocate
An advocate, yeah.
for social good.
I mean, it's all about perseverance,
Yeah.
the importance of family, and how much impact one person can have
One person, yeah.
on the world. Yeah.
I mean, he's inspired generations. with his performances, his resilience,
and his commitment to change.
his commitment.
Yeah.
It's a reminder, I think, to all of us that we all have potential
Yeah, absolutely.
to leave our mark on the world,
No matter who you are. Yeah.
no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So if this story has kind of, sparked your curiosity, I mean, you should definitely check out his films.
Oh, yeah. I mean, explore his activism, a little deeper.
Yeah.
Or just, get into Indian cinema.
Yeah.
There's so much out there.
So much out there.
Yeah.
All right. So
So
that concludes our deep dive.
yeah.
We hope that you have a new appreciation for Amitabh Bachchan,
The man behind the legend.
the man behind the legend.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a deep dive into the life of Will Smith. The superstar, the box office king, the one and only.
And we're doing it a little differently this time. We're using a biography written for English language learners as our guide.
Exactly. So we'll be uncovering fascinating parts of his story, the stuff you might not know, and we'll be picking up some seriously cool English phrases along the way.
You might think you know Will Smith, but trust me, there's always more to discover.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. He's had this incredible journey. Music, movies, and everything in between.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. Will Smith was born in West Philadelphia in 1968.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Right. A pretty typical middle-class upbringing, nothing that screams Hollywood at first glance.
True. But even back then, there were hints of the star he'd become. He was known as Prince, for his charisma.
So maybe it wasn't just luck. Maybe there was something more, a drive, an ambition that set him apart even then.
Well, the bio mentions he was a fantastic student. He even got a scholarship to MIT. Imagine that. Will Smith, the engineer.
Wow, that's a path not taken. Talk about a different life.
Right. But as we all know, he chose a different path. Music was his calling, his passion.
The bio really emphasizes that phrase, follow your calling. It makes you think, have you ever felt that pull towards something? That undeniable urge to pursue your dreams no matter what?
Definitely. I think everyone's felt that at some point. But in Will Smith's case, it wasn't just about following his passion. He had to overcome some serious obstacles.
You're talking about his financial struggles early on.
Yeah, even with all the success he had with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
It's a good reminder that talent alone doesn't guarantee smooth sailing.
It's wild to think that his journey to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that iconic 90s sitcom, actually started because of a financial crisis. The bio uses a pretty heavy phrase to describe it. Hit rock bottom.
It sounds like those early days of fame came with some tough financial lessons.
Definitely a reminder that even with success, managing your finances is crucial. But what's inspiring is how he turned things around. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air became his launch pad. 6 seasons, a global phenomenon, pure comedic gold.
It really launched him into superstardom.
But he didn't stop there. Even during the peak of his TV success, he set his sights on Hollywood. And wow, did he make a statement.
Independence Day, Men in Black, those were some serious blockbusters. He became this global action hero, this charismatic leading man.
He really showed his range, didn't he? One minute he's this action hero, the next he's this comedic charmer. It's like he deliberately chose roles to prove he wasn't just a funny guy from TV.
Like he was breaking out of any box people tried to put him in.
Totally. And it wasn't all about chasing box office hits either. Remember Ali? He got an Oscar nomination for that role. That was a serious, dramatic performance.
It definitely showcased his acting chops. He poured his heart and soul into portraying Muhammad Ali. It was a transformative role.
But even with all that success, his career wasn't always smooth sailing. He definitely had his share of flops, movies that didn't quite hit the mark.
Right. But what's interesting is how he dealt with those setbacks. He didn't let them define him. Instead, he learned from them, adapted, and kept moving forward.
The bio calls it his ability to turn things around. And it really shows his resilience.
A great example of that is The Pursuit of Happiness.
Absolutely. Playing a struggling single father, that was such a departure from the blockbuster action roles. It felt so raw, so real.
It resonated with audiences on a deeply personal level.
For me, that film shows his evolution as an actor. He was ready to explore these deeper, more complex roles. And let's not forget his personal life, his marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith in 1997.
Yeah, a long-lasting Hollywood partnership, not always an easy feat.
And their children, Jaden and Willow, following in their parents' footsteps into the world of entertainment.
It's like a family dynasty in the making.
But amidst all the fame and fortune, Will Smith always emphasizes the importance of hard work, discipline, and gratitude. It's not just about talent. It's about dedication and staying grounded,
A good message for anyone, really.
especially in an industry that can be so focused on appearances. And speaking of appearances, it's cool how this biography we're using was written for people learning English.
That's right. It highlights these awesome phrases throughout Will Smith's journey, like we just talked about, his ability to turn things around.
It's amazing how these real-life examples make the phrases so much more impactful.
They're not just words on a page anymore, they're like little nuggets of wisdom.
Totally. And then there's stay true to yourself, which perfectly describes Will Smith's authenticity. He's never afraid to be himself, even on the world stage.
Exactly. And how about take the leap? Think about his transition from music to acting, his willingness to tackle diverse and challenging roles. He never shied away from taking risks.
He jumped right in, embraced the unknown, and that's a powerful message for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah. Makes you think, take the leap. I mean, where does that resonate with you in your own life?
Ooh, that's a good one. It makes me think about all the times I've held back from doing something because I was afraid to fail. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Like I've always wanted to write fiction, but I always get stuck in those what ifs. What if it's not good enough? What if nobody wants to read it?
It's easy to get trapped in that fear, right?
It is, but listening to Will Smith's story, it's like a reminder that sometimes you just got to go for it.
Take that leap, exactly.
Maybe it's time for me to sign up for that writing workshop I've been thinking about.
There you go. That's the spirit. And what about you? Any leaps you're thinking about taking?
You know, Will Smith's story, it's not just about these big dramatic leaps. It's also about the smaller everyday choices we make.
Right, those little decisions that can add up over time.
Exactly, like being more present, more mindful, savoring those small moments instead of getting caught up in the daily grind.
I love that. That's a great takeaway. And it speaks to something really important about Will Smith's story. It's not just about fame and fortune. It's about real life. It's about the lessons we can all learn from his journey.
Absolutely. It's that human element that makes him so relatable. He's not just this untouchable celebrity. He's someone who's faced challenges, made mistakes, worked hard to achieve his goals, just like all of us.
And seeing how he's evolved both personally and professionally, it's really inspiring. It brings us back to another key takeaway, the importance of staying grounded.
Yeah, despite all the craziness of Hollywood, he's managed to keep his priorities straight.
Strong family ties personal values. It seems like he never lost sight of what truly matters.
It's interesting how those values show up in his career choices, too.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't just going for the big paycheck. He was looking for roles that resonated with him on a deeper level.
Roles that align with his own growth and evolution.
Exactly. And the bio highlights this too, his philosophy of hard work, discipline, gratitude. It's not just about talent. It's about putting in the effort, staying focused, appreciating the journey.
A lot of people forget about the work that goes on behind the scenes.
Right. But it all ties back to that idea of pushing the limits. It's not just about achieving success. It's about constantly striving to be better, to learn and grow both personally and professionally.
And that applies to everyone, not just A-list celebrities.
So true. We all have our own limits to push our own unique potential waiting to be unlocked.
And as we go deeper into Will Smith's story, there's another element that really shines through his passion. That unwavering fire that fuels his drive and keeps him going.
You just feel it, can't you? That energy, that enthusiasm, that pure joy in what he does.
From music to acting to everything in between. It's the driving force behind his creative pursuits.
And it's still burning bright today. He keeps creating, keeps inspiring, keeps pushing boundaries. It's contagious. It makes you think, what's your passion?
What gets you excited? What makes you feel truly alive?
And more importantly, how can you use that passion to push your own limits, to take those leaps towards your dreams?
Those are powerful questions to consider.
We've covered so much in this deep dive, and it feels like we've only scratched the surface.
Will Smith's life is full of twists and turns. There's always more to discover.
But we've definitely gained some valuable insights, haven't we?
Yeah.
His story offers so many lessons about resilience, about pursuing your passions, about staying true to yourself.
Absolutely. And maybe before we jump into the final chapter of his story, we should take a moment to let all this sink in.
Yeah, a little quiet reflection might help us connect the dots between his experiences and our own lives, you know?
Sometimes a pause is all you need to gain a fresh perspective.
Yeah, that quiet moment was good. It really helps to let things settle in, you know, all those twists and turns in his life.
It really makes you think about how someone else's journey can spark so many ideas in your own life.
It's true. And, you know, we've talked about his resilience, his versatility, how dedicated he is to growing. But there's one more thing we haven't touched on, his legacy.
Yeah, his impact goes way beyond Hollywood. What will people remember about him decades from now?
That's a big question. What do you think? What's Will Smith's lasting mark?
Well, I think about the pure entertainment he's given us, movies, music, those hilarious moments that make you laugh out loud.
He's a true entertainer, that's for sure. One minute you're laughing, the next you're tearing up, and then bam, you're on the edge of your seat during some crazy action sequence.
He can do it all. And it's not just about entertainment, right? He's broken down barriers. I mean, a black man reaching global superstardom like that.
He's a role model for so many people, showing that your background, your circumstances, they don't have to define you.
That's a powerful message. And then there's his philanthropy, all the work he does to support education, social justice, empowering young people. He's using his platform to make a real difference.
It's inspiring to see someone so successful give back like that. It all adds up to this legacy of positivity, inspiration, believing in people.
Yeah, he's not just about fame and fortune. He's about making the world a better place.
You know what gets me? His genuine warmth. That smile. He really seems to believe in the good in people.
It's a reminder that success isn't just about what you achieve for yourself. It's about how you connect with others, how you spread joy, how you make the world a little brighter.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Will Smith's life, what's the one thing that stands out to you? What will you take away from his story?
It's a reminder that you can always reinvent yourself. Embrace change. Chase your passions with everything you've got. Will Smith proves that's possible.
He shows us that our past doesn't have to define us. We can always grow, learn, and create new paths for ourselves.
And speaking of new paths, it's been so cool uncovering these English phrases along the way.
Yeah, it's like watching them come to life in Will Smith's story.
Rise above the odds. Stay true to yourself. Take the leap. They're not just words anymore. They're like a guide for living a meaningful life.
A reminder that we have the power to shape our own destinies, to overcome obstacles, to make our mark on the world. What an inspiring journey it's been. So as we sign off, I want to leave you with this question. We've seen how Will Smith reinvented himself over the years. What's one area in your life where you'd like to push the limits or maybe even take a leap towards something new?
Think about it. What have you been putting off? What dream have you been holding back from chasing?
Maybe it's time to channel a little bit of that Will Smith spirit and go for it. And if you're feeling inspired, share your thoughts with us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing those limits.
And never forget to stay true to yourself. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.